All right. So we have created a bunch of information. We have a fairly cool setup here with customers and jobs, and it's hopefully you're finding this pretty useful. But now we need to get into the real power of using something like FileMaker over Excel. So we've got those relationships and those connections, and those have all been useful, but we need something next level. Powerful there. And that, I think, one of the most important things you can do is actually record when status was changed on every job. So you can kind of go back through, and just like you would if you tracked a package with UPS, you can kind of see what happened when. So this video is going to be a little bit longer. We're going to go through how to do that. We're going to write a quick and simple script. We're going to use a script trigger to execute it based on changing that status field. So bear with me. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to make a follow-up video and maybe explain one of these things in more detail, but this is, at some point we need to jump into this, but this is probably 4 or 5 steps above anything that we've done so far. So hold on, here we go. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, in order to log this information, we need to create a job log. And I've actually, we need to create a log table, a place to put all this. So if you think about it, it's like almost another spreadsheet where you're recording that information. And so I've already done that. I've created a job log table here. And then all I did was, what I find easiest to do is I copied the customers table, and then I made some modifications here, and I set the job log primary key there. And then I needed to create a field to connect it, or to build that relationship between the jobs and the job log. So there's the job key field. I left the search field, and then all of the kind of maintenance fields down here in existence. And then I went to the relationship, and under jobs, I actually related the job primary key to the job log job key. Okay, and the table occurrences here. And I'm going to click OK. And so we have that built. So now what we need to do is we need to write a script that executes when we modify this field, or is triggered when we modify that field. So I'm going to go up to script workspace. And what I need to do, well, before I get too far here, I want to show you that FileMaker did create this job logs layout for me. And we're not going to actually use this layout as a user, or anybody using the software. I'm not going to use this layout, so I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm going to leave it modified here. I could delete the fields off of it. It wouldn't make any difference. It just needs to exist. So there needs to be a job log layout. So back to the jobs layout, and then script workspace here. And I'm going to create a new script. Okay, don't let this scare you too much. We're going to go through this one step at a time. And so this new script is going to be log job status change, is what I'm going to call it. Okay, and then best practice here, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it the jobs folder. And so anything that we're doing on the jobs layout, anything, if I make a button that does something to a job, I'm going to put it in this jobs folder just to keep things kind of organized. And so I'm just going to drag this down. So now it's in the jobs folder. And you can see these little checkboxes here. All these checkboxes do is they show the script here under scripts here as a selection. It's something you can run. So if you don't want to build a button that makes this script run, you can have that checkbox, and this can line up, I believe, 10 of them. It's not something I use, but that's what the checkboxes do. So I almost always uncheck these. And then once this is saved, so Control S to save, now it's not one of the script options to select anymore. So I want a button on the layout or some action that the user does that I'm expecting them to do to run the script. I don't want them to just go up and randomly run a script, if I can help it. Okay, so we have our script workspace. We're set up. What we need to do is, I know that we're going to use a script trigger that on object modify. So when this changes, okay, we're going to want to grab some information and create a job log entry. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable. I need to know what job we're on. Okay, I need to keep that information. So I'm going to, again, I know there's 1,000 ways to do this, and if you've done this before, you may disagree with the way I'm doing it. In my mind, this is one of the simplest ways to do it, and it gets us into scripting a little bit. So this is how I'm going to show you. But we need to visualize this a little bit for a second. We're on the jobs table, and a user has clicked and changed the status. Okay. And so we need to know what job that is that they're on, right? And I need to record that. So we're going to save that as a variable. So I'm going to type set variable, and there it is. Okay. And then I click the little gear, and I'm going to name the variable something. It says right up here, names prefixed by $1 are local variables and available only within the current script. So that means once this script is done executing, that variable just drops off. It's not there anymore. If I do $, which we're not going to do at the moment, it kind of holds the value of that variable in memory. So you could store all kinds of things like a username or a current date or something like that in a $, global variable. Not something we're going to go into right now. We're just going to make it a very simple $, and I'm going to call it $job. Really simple. And then the value, okay, is the job primary key. Okay. And that's really simple. So I just double clicked on primary key. I have the job pulled up. Okay. And I know when we're executing this script, we're going to execute it from the jobs table or from the jobs layout, which is on that jobs table. And so I know this is going to grab that value correctly. Okay. It's really important because if I was somewhere else, if I can't run this script from the customers table because it can't just directly pull the job primary key, or it may pull some unintended result. But this is going to work because I will be on a job, and that's where I'm controlling the user's actions. They can't go change the status just wherever they want. They have to come here to this layout to change the status. It's the only place where that's editable is right here. And so I know they're going to be on the jobs table to do that. Okay, so we've set the jobs variable. We have that saved into memory. We know what job it is. And now I'm going to go to layout. Okay, I've captured that job. Wait, before we do that, the second thing I want to do, I'm just going to copy and paste that, is I want to save the status. Okay, so we want to know the status of the job that we just changed to. So we're going to trigger this to run after the status has been changed. Okay, so we're going to know what the job status is. So I'm going to click OK. So now we're on that jobs table. Again, this takes some strong visualization. The user sitting on that jobs table, they've clicked the status button, they drop down, they change the status, and now we're going to get this script to run. I'm going to show you how to make it run. We're going to get this script to run, and we're going to grab that job name or that job ID, and then we're going to grab that status of that job, and we're going to save them as variables, and now we're going to go create a log entry. So go to layout. I want to change this layout to go to the job log, okay? And then no animation or anything like that. And then we're going to set, okay, so we're on the job log now. Again, we're visualizing, we're on the job log. What do? We need to create a new record, right? Because we're going to create a log entry. We want a line in the spreadsheet or a record in the database. So new record, okay? And don't ignore the request thing right now. That's in for doing special finds and things like that. But what it will do is create a new record in browse mode. And then we're going to set the field. So set field, okay, specify field. So I know we're going to be on the job log layout. I'm going to set the job key, okay, to my job variable, okay. And then I'm going to do another set field, job log. Oh, I didn't create a status field. I don't know what status it's going to be. So I'm going to hit cancel real quick. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D, go back to the fields, go to the job log, and then I'm going to create status. Create. Okay, it's text field. It's fine. Ready to go. Click OK. So let's create that, or let's add that status. Again, job log, status. Okay. calculated result there is status. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. So what I've done is I've collected the job ID, the primary key, and I've collected the status of that job. Okay, and then we go to the job log layout, and then I create a new record. And then in that record, I set the job log job key to the job from that variable that we just set. And I set the job log status to the status variable I just set. And then once this is done running, okay, it's going to save that information, and those variables are going to fall off so that you don't have to worry about them like copying over themselves or anything like that. They just empty out. So I'm going to save this. Okay. And then I'm going to, well, what happens if we just run this, right? So we have this job pulled up. If I click run, what's it do? Okay. It goes in and it sets, let's add the status here. We don't know that. It sets the status as new job, right? So if I go back to jobs here and I'm on this, so the status is installation, and I go and open my script and hit run, it creates a new record. I'm on the second record now, and so that's the job key there, and the status is installation. So since this is related, what I can actually do, just again, this is more for debugging and just checking things out, but I can go to the jobs table here, and then I can go to job number, and I can drag the job number over. Let's put this up here because that's important. And since this is a related field, it's related through that job key, it should tell me what the job number is. So I see the job number, the status of installation, and then I see the timestamp. So that's actually matching my timestamp down here because I just did that, right? So then I can go back to the jobs. And so that's not all that useful yet. Okay, I can run this and it goes and basically records the current status of that job at that time. Great, but I have to come in here and hit run. So we want this script to execute when I change the status. So how do we do that? We're going to go to edit layout, and I'm going to click on status here. And again, I can't stress this enough. It's because I've made these other statuses, anytime I present the other statuses, I've made it uneditable. So the user must come here to edit this, because all I'm going to do is trigger off of this field, this instance of this field. So we could have this field listed somewhere else, and they could change it if we allow that, and it's not going to run this script for us. We could make it run the script, but it's not going to automatically do that. So I'm going to go up to, I'm going to right click on the field, and I'm going to go to set script triggers. Okay. And so what that's going to do, this is really cool. On object enter, it tells us kind of what's going on here, but on object enter, the script will run after the selected object becomes the active object. That's basically you click in it, boom, you want to run a script for some reason, okay? On object keystroke, that's you click in it, and then every letter you type, anything you type into that script, it runs. That's useful for making like a return or an enter do something, or you want to work with barcode scanners at FireSprint. All the FileMaker stuff, we're using on object keystroke all the time, tracking stuff. On object modify, the script will run after the selected object is modified when active. Okay. And then on object save. So on object modify is useful, but what we really want is when they save it. So they make that change and then save that change. So we want on object save. Basically that's what we're working on here. You need to go in and check these things out more, but on object save, we're going to make that change and we're going to commit it to the database. So I'm going to click on the status that we're going to change it to, commit that, and then on object save is going to run. And so as soon as I click that checkbox saying I want this to run on object save, it brings up this specify script window, and I can search for scripts that I've created. This is easy. We only have one script to run, and I'm going to click OK. And then click OK. Okay. So then save that. Now what happens? So I go in, I've got this one here, and I go printing, and I want to change this to cutting. There it goes. So I've logged job number 1006, status cutting. Okay. Again, not crazy useful just yet, but let's set that to printing, back to printing. There it goes. Back to printing. So let me show you. I'm just going to hit Control F and I'm going to search for 1006 here. It's going to show me the two records that I went to cutting at creation timestamp 347, 48 seconds. And I went to printing 347 with 59 seconds. Easy enough. Okay. So I've got those two entries. The problem is as a user, I would be pretty pissed off if every time I made a change, it took me to this random page, which I don't understand really what it is. And then I have to go back up here and go back to jobs. I don't want to do that. So I feel like our script is missing something. So let's go back to the script workspace here. And we've done this. We've set the fields. We've created that record, set the fields, and then we just stop. We don't do anything. So the easiest thing to do here is to actually go to layout and we go back to the original layout. So what this is going to do is when this script runs, it kind of remembers what layout that the user was on. And then at the end of it, we can tell it to go back to that original layout. Okay. So let's save that and see if that works. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to change this to waiting on payment. Okay. And I'm going to change this to printing. Okay. And then let's just go back to the job log and show them all. And you know what? There they are. Those are the two log entries. And what's happened is it's happening so fast. FileMaker is running so quickly that you don't even see it. Actually, if we could slow this down, which we can by going to script debugger here, and if I have this sitting open and I make this change to pre-flight, you can see there comes the script, and then I can click this step into and just go down the script. So we're saving those variables. You can open the data viewer. Okay, we're saving these variables. So there's the job variable. And the next step, we save the status variable, and you can see that status is pre-flight. And then we go to layout, job log, boom, there we are on the job log, and then create new records. So there's 7 total records right now. There's the 8th record, just created that. And then right there, and then we keep going. So set the field, the job key field is set, and then set the status field right there. Set that, boom, and then go back to the original layout. There you go. That works, right? So we have logged, really simple. We're logging when we're changing these statuses. And you can actually see the screen flicker just a little bit when that happens. See that? Okay. If I go back, one last thing, if I go to the very beginning of my script and hit enter a couple of times, and then there's something called freeze window. Okay. And it's just a little trick. You don't absolutely have to do it, but it just helps your users run a little bit smoother. Now, when I change this status, well, I think you're going to have to take my word for it, but it will be a little bit smoother, especially as your database gets bigger and it takes a little bit longer to move back and forth between things. The freeze window will help. And there's a number of things that you can do, but we know that's working. The problem is it's not all that useful just yet, right? I don't know, I want to be able to see this log. And so since we're putting that job ID and since we built that relationship, all we need to do is create a portal to see the job log. So let's create a really simple portal to see the job log. So I'm going to create a little bit of space up here, just using the arrow keys to move this over. And let's create a button, but I'm going to use a new kind of button called a popover button. Put this right here. And let's use this icon. Something like that might look like a log. Maybe this one. Yeah. Pick something that looks like a log. That'll work for now. Okay. So we've got that. And then again, I want to go in and I want to set that to primary because I like my buttons to be blue just for continuity throughout. Okay. And I can double click on that and we've got the popover information here. So first of all, that word up there, popover, is set down here. So job log, we'll call it. Okay. And that's it. Job log. We've got this little guy. Let's see what that does real quick. So we'll edit this layout and I'll click on this. And now I've got this popover is what they call it, but it's like a little mini window that pops up that I can put some useful information in. It's hidden normally, but I can click that and see it. So let's add the job log to that. So first thing I'm going to do is make this a little bit wider. Okay. And then I'm going to add a portal. These portals are darn useful in FileMaker. Okay. So show records from job log. And because, again, these are related fields or related tables, it's going to work. So all of this basic information we're always using, those are our standard setup allowed. Well, I don't know that I want to allow the deletion, but allow vertical scrolling, alternate row state, and active row state. I'm going to click OK. And then we want some information in our portal here. So what information do we want in the job log? I think we don't need to know the job number or the job key or anything like that because we're on the job when we're looking for this information. So really what we want to see is we probably want a creation timestamp and we want to know who did it. And we want to know the status, right? I mean, that's basically all the information that you would want in a log. Who did it, when, and what did they do? Okay, so there we go. Let's just make sure this fits here. Okay. So let's see. Oh, there's the change on that one. Let's look at this one. Did I change? Yep, I changed that one once. Where's the one? Here we go. This one, I just kept going back and forth, clicking. I went click happy. But you can see that me as the admin, I went in and changed this. Now you can see I can type in here and I could delete that. Well, that one's set to not modifiable, but I could change that one. And I don't want to do that. So let's go in and just make it so you can't update any of these fields. And then also make it so that they're not part of the quick find. We don't really want to be searching for that with the quick find. So there's our job log. Okay. Now this job log is going to sort automatically from the new or the oldest record. So the first created record at the top to the newest record at the bottom. Okay. And that makes sense to some people, but one of the things that I'd really like to do here is I'd like this to sort, okay, so that the newest entries are always at the top. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple of ways to do that, okay, and probably the simplest way to do that when you're first getting started is to actually do it right from the portal. Okay, so I'm going to go into, I've double clicked on the portal and that brings up the portal setup. And then under here, I can sort. So sort portal records. Okay, now keep in mind these logs, because of the relationship, the way the relationship works, it's only showing me the related records. So because we are relating based on that job key or the job ID key, it's only showing us records that are for that job. So that's great. We're good there. So we don't need to really do any filtering, but sorting is useful. So one of the easiest ways, you just click specify on the sort here, and this sort option comes up. And so I would like to sort by creation timestamp, move that over. Okay. And then I want that in descending order. Okay. Click OK. Save that. And now you can see the most recent creation timestamp is right at the top there. So we could sort by anything. I mean, there's all kinds of things we could do, but that is probably the easiest thing to do there. And that way we've always got that current setting. So let's just test this again. So let's say we're done printing and somebody comes in and says cutting. We're going to update it to cutting. And you saw that flash like that a little bit. There's the cutting status. So we have created this status tracking tool. It's very simple. And then installation. And then you can see, oh, there's the installation setup. So the last thing here that doesn't make a lot of sense is this says admin. And so since I've logged in as, or I've just created this and I don't have any users set up or anything like that, this is always going to say admin, and anybody walking up to it's going to say admin. So one of the things that I'd prefer is that if you walked up to the computer to update that job status, you log in and then FileMaker knows who you are, and then that job log will change. So in the next video, we're going to get into some really basic security for this setup, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video.